Live.
Hey everybody, this is Equal Time Soccer. We're live, and we are lucky to have the crew from Minnesota women's soccer team recently announced head coach and assistant coach squad. And we're excited also to be bolstering our coverage of lower division women's soccer. I'm joined here with Liz Schendel, and I want Liz to introduce herself. She's going to be joining me to cover lower division women's leagues in the WPSL and W League this summer. Welcome, Liz.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to join Equal Time. I know I've been following you for a hot minute. But as for me, my name is Liz. I live in Sacramento, so I don't live in Minnesota. But obviously, I am really super aware of your soccer culture and community. I'm really excited to kind of get to know everyone more personally. And yeah, I'm the director of women's soccer content for Protagonist Soccer, which there's a lot of like crossover between the two of us. And I also create content for California Storm here in Sacramento. It's a WPSL team. So of course, really aware of that league. And of course, like I think most of the women's soccer community in the US and abroad too, I think 8 countries. I've been following along with Minnesota WoSo. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to talk to everyone on this call today.
Yeah, and this is something we've learned how to do at Equal Time, is to bring in some pros to help with real perspective. So Liz works for a really successful team in California that has a lot of powerful women a part of its history. So excited to get to talk about the game with Liz. And excited to have you coaches here. It was announced just yesterday that you are the inaugural coaching staff for this team, a really exciting team. And just for each of you, we can start with Jen, we'll start with Nicole. Just talk about how you first heard about the team and what your reaction was as you kind of learned more, actually got connected to the process.
Yeah, sure. So I was actually down in Lacrosse when Lacrosse, Wisconsin, heard about the team. Was super pumped, especially knowing that I was going to be moving to the area soon. And then, I just started following the team on social media. The Minnesota women's soccer group has done a really nice job of telling the story as they've been building the club. So just like everybody else, probably following the team, getting more and more excited as we've gotten closer to this point.
Jen and Jennie, how about you?
Go for it, Denise. Yeah, you go.
I think it was kind of similar to Nicole. I kind of had started to hear a little bit here and there. Obviously, I lived in Minnesota, so and pretty involved in the soccer world here. So when I started hearing about having a team like this coming into the area, it was super interesting, and they did a really good job of getting news coverage and people involved into it that I didn't even know would enjoy soccer. So that was really fun. I was talking to a bunch of people not even involved in the world. So I was really excited that something like this was coming into the area, just because I think that especially for women's soccer, it's such a hotbed for it. And I think that, it's going to be great to have these youth players having more people to be looking up to and continuing to grow that. So I was following along with that. Then I went down to Dixie State, which is in St. George, Utah, and coached at a D1 school down there. And then I was moving back up to Minnesota. So kind of wanted to get involved with the team, and luckily was able to be on the coaching staff, which was really awesome.
So, no, for me, I was actually at the historic original crew meeting. Matt and Wes pulled some group friends together, and we're like, we have this idea. So it was really cool to hear their initial idea, and obviously think highly of them as people, and was busy coaching at the time. So it was sort of like, I can maybe pitch in with a few ideas here and there, but don't have a lot of capacity to be a big person in planning and putting all this together. So I stayed in touch sort of peripherally, and it was really impressive to see all of their big ideas from that first meeting sort of come to fruition. And when they posted the coaching position, I was like, oh, actually, I think like where my career is at with what I have going on in my coaching world, I would like to apply for that. So yeah, when the first meeting came about, I was like, this is a really cool idea. I wasn't like, oh, I'd like to be involved with the coaching, but just sort of as it panned out, yeah, it felt like it was a good fit and was excited to be a part of the process.
Nice. So Nicole, you've been working with youth players and college players for years now. And I know that's working with grassroots and youth. That's before the call. That's where you said you got your sweater from. But this is a new opportunity in a pre-professional environment, lots of new challenges. So how was your experience in coaching? How has it built you to this new role? How has it prepared you for this team? And what are you most excited for?
Oh no.
You're muted.
Oh yeah. Wait, Nicole, you're muted.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
My dog was trying to get in the door and get in the chute, which is 150 pounds and would take up the whole screen. But back to your question, I've had a really unique background. I've been fortunate to play a lot of different roles in youth clubs and in the college game, as a player and as a coach. So, it's a bunch of different things, really. I've been able to build a lot of different programs, which, I'm excited to go down this path with Jen and Jennie, because that's, what we're going to be doing is building a team from scratch, with a lot of support from the founding members. And of course, all of the community owners who have already been doing a fantastic job of, giving their feedback along the way. So I think it's a lot of different things. But I think, maybe Jennie and I can relate the most to back when we were playing and how we all probably wish there was a team just like this for us to play on. And there really wasn't. So I think just being passionate a bit about providing that experience for the players, and really creating that environment that makes them want to come back, treating it like a professional team. All the players won't have to pay to be on the team, which is really different in this environment. So we're excited about that. We're going to definitely make it as unique, as professional as possible, and prepare players for the next level.
Awesome.
Do you want to follow up, Liz, on that next question?
No, you're fine. Yeah. So I know, just to kind of add, like I work for CalStorm in Sacramento, and you spoke about making it a professional environment. And I personally, that's something that we value as well, surrounding the team with sponsorships and making sure they don't have to pay for anything, finding them, personal trainers and a training gym for them to kind of work on non-skill related things. And I really value that. That's something that, you were already putting on the board and saying that this is something we want to work towards. And I appreciate that, because you're setting the standard. I don't know if you realize that, but you're setting the standard for every other WPSL, UWS, W League team in the country. And just want to make sure you know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, and Jennie Clark, I wanted to ask you, so that we wanted to ask you about Dixie State, which is now going to be called Utah Tech. So, but after playing in Germany, you were there a couple of years in the Bundesliga for a couple of different clubs. This was your first, I would say, it's like where you really transitioned your career, and and it's a long time too to be an assistant. I mean, people move to programs, so you clearly like set down some roots in Utah. What was the soccer like in Utah? Like, what was that community like in terms of being different than Minnesota, and kind of how did that help you transition to this point to be on this team?
Yeah, it was a really, like you mentioned, I've lived in other places before, so it wasn't like a huge change for me to go move someplace else and kind of experience what it's like there. I thought it was the Utah environment with soccer is actually really great. There's a lot of really, really talented players. I mean, I don't know if anybody watched the finals, NCAA finals. BYU is in there. And most of those players are from Utah. And a lot of there's 7 D1 schools within Utah. So it was really, really a competitive space. The school went from D2 to D1. So that was kind of a fun experience to be able to go through that transition with it. Molly Rouse, who was the head coach, who I was lucky enough to work with, and she was her and I actually played college soccer together. So a lot of our values as soccer players and what we wanted to bring to the team were very similar. So it was a really great experience for me to transition to coaching, being less of a player and more of a coach, and being able to analyze the game in a different way was really important for me. And to have somebody like her be kind of a mentor through that, and knowing that we worked really well together, we're able to problem solve together, talk through things together was really great. And I think that that's what's so exciting about coming into this staff. Nicole and I don't know each other super well yet, but I think that we have gotten along, and we've had like similar backgrounds, and we've talked about soccer, and I think that we're pretty even on that. And me and Jen have been friends for a while, and so I'm really excited about like the collaboration that this coaching staff is going to be able to have going forward, and to help continue grow myself to grow as a coach as well. So.
Jen, so you played at both the University of Florida and the University of Minnesota, probably night and day as for their programs. What did each of these schools have to offer? What did they have on each other besides the weather? Kind of, tell us about that background.
Yeah, both great programs. The night and day weather was the first question Steph asked me when I talked to her on the phone was like, "Are you sure you want to move to Minnesota?" But I did. I had a great experience. I think, both were very, to your point earlier, professional experiences. Really well cared for in terms of training staff, strength and conditioning staff, coaching staff, academic support. Really any support facilities we needed, we had access to. So really enjoy those experiences. I think both were high level in their own ways. I really enjoyed the teammates, team culture at Minnesota. The academic fit at Minnesota was really good for me. At Florida, Becky does a great job of supporting players who want to become coaches. So she paid for my first ever United Soccer Coaches coaching course. I did it in Tampa on spring break. So that was really fantastic. So I think just got different nuggets of wisdom from both sets of coaching staffs, got different experiences of how can I feel supported as a player from different, from each program, different athletic departments, that kind of thing. So yeah, both experiences were really good in their own way and helped me grow as a player, but I think also as a future coach, and just knowing at the time that I wanted to go into coaching, I was able to sort of look at it through that lens as well at the time.
Nice. I want to ask, so speaking of college careers and I guess all of your soccer careers too, we might have to ask you about, if you're actually retired yet later, but what I'm curious about, because we're talking about player development and we're really excited about those skills you bring, but we also kind of like glory day stories. And so I want to know, when you think back, so you're thinking about these women getting a chance on this team, you're kind of thinking of when you were then, you're like, man, if I had that chance in between my sophomore year. When you think back about your memories from playing, what stands out the most? Is it, is it goals you scored or a game, or just, a funny road trip? What are the stories that come back to you most from playing?
I can go first. I have a lot on the field. And training. I love training as a player. I don't think many people do, but I did. So just really being able to compete every day, that's probably what I miss most about playing. But definitely the long bus trips, and just kind of acting like an idiot with your friends on the bus. And then, yeah, I would say home games, definitely. The Milwaukee campus provides a really good atmosphere for games. So that would be mine.
Yeah, I think, and I hold relationships really dearly. And I think that most of my best experiences have been the relationships that I've made with a lot of the players that I played with. I have friends all over the world that I know through soccer, and I can really count on. So those are the big things, because I'm still even now, most of the alumni, those are my best friends. So we all just keep up and have funny jokes together of the stuff that we would do and whatever. But mostly college-wise, my biggest memory was when we were co-champions for the Big Ten tournament, but it was in Iowa, which I'm from Iowa. It was in Iowa, and it was on my birthday. So it was kind of that was kind of an awesome,
nice
win on that one. But I mean, yeah, I think mostly for mine are the biggest ones are the relationships that I've made all around the world and the stuff that we've done that I'm probably not going to talk about, but yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I'd say the relationships were really meaningful to me too. I think I took a fifth year, and so like sort of became a older. I think even some of my teammates like called me grandma, but I took it like really personally to like welcome the first years in a big way. So yeah, those relationships were meaningful to me, but just other like goofy, funny things. Like my senior year, I think I like went all year at making every PK I took in training, and like that was important to me, like just funny stuff like that. At Florida, we had some like crazy difficult workouts. Like we would run up at the football stadium, and one day we had to hold like 30-pound chains over our head as we ran. And just like, I'm proud that like at some point in my life I did that shit. But yeah, and then I think like Jennie says, like people who will just like show up for you. Like there's some teammates that I was really close with at the time, and like our lives have gone different paths. They do different careers, but like I know if I called them tomorrow, they would do whatever if I was like, I need help with something, they'd show up. Or, I tore my ACL my second to last year, and like my roommate, like shout out to Olivia Schultz, like sort of took me under her wing, and I had Thanksgiving with her family, and her younger sister just torn her ACL. So we were like crutching together through the mall to go Black Friday shopping together. So just some really good, just people who you did life with, so those things are really meaningful.
That's awesome.
Right. That's why you're all such good coaches, because none of you said a big goal I scored, or you just said team answers. So I guess, yeah, you're not interviewing anymore. You can tell us about the bicycle kick you scored if you want to. Yeah.
I'll tell you if I score a bicycle kick in my adult sports league on Sunday. I'll give you that.
CSC action. Bicycle kick.
It's a video exclusive. We want it.
I know. I played for a league a couple of years ago, an adult league here in Sacramento, and the rules were no slide tackling and no bicycle kicks. So very particular, kind of ruined the fun. Did anyone have any, this is for everyone, did anyone have any superstitions? And then, of course, do you still hold them to this day as coaches?
I always put my left cleat on first, but I don't really lace up too much anymore. So that one's gone for sure.
Jen, did you?
I wasn't super superstitious. Every year, like as a kid, I'm gonna spoil my birthday wishes now, but like every year as like a young kid, I'd be like, I wish I'd become a professional soccer player. So maybe I was a little superstitious about my birthday wishes, but those didn't pan out, obviously.
Why not try and make most of those wishes though? Why not try and strategize?
You have to really utilize those key wishes.
I don't know if I had like a consistent one, but if I was playing well and I would wear like certain things like jewelry or whatever, I would be wearing that same jewelry going to every game. But then if I didn't have a good game, wash it out. It's done. So I think it's kind of similar when I'm coaching. It's like, this outfit works. This is it. This is the one. But when it's done, it's like, all right, on to the next.
Yeah.
So I guess there's no cool one.
Yeah. Superstitious habits are kind of like, it's like a gambling habit. Like when it's working, then you have a habit. Yeah. Otherwise you're like, no, it's not. Yeah, I know.
Clearly it's not. I think it's not.
So Nicole, I want to ask you too. I mean, so we're proud to talk about Minnesota women's soccer. We got a couple of Gopher alums. You went to a college really close by. It's a favorable campus of the University of Wisconsin. It's Milwaukee. We aren't so threatened by UW Milwaukee, but their team was on fire this year. They were, and so thanks to supporters who support Equal Time, part of the expanded coverage this fall was to cover like all the Minnesotans playing at different D1 programs. Milwaukee had a few Minnesotans, and they were like 5th in the country in scoring. So I'm just wondering if you got to watch them and see them make that run into the tournament this year.
You broke up a little bit at the end, but
so
I think
if you got to watch them.
The Panthers.
Yeah, did you get to watch them this year at all, or when they made their run in the tournament?
I watched them a little bit. I had a lot of coaching conflicts when they were playing, but yeah, they were awesome. They were crushing records. They've got the new fastest goal record. Mm-hmm. I mean, they really killed it. They did a great job against Virginia in their final match. So I'm a proud alum for sure. Mm-hmm. And Panthers, you know, we might be knocking on your door. Be ready. We're looking for players.
There we go. Yeah, we're going to get into that later too. But yeah, that is, no, it was exciting to see Minnesotans playing on that team. And so we're going to take a quick break. I want to give an ad read for our sponsor, Pentz Homes. You can see the ticker at the bottom of the screen there. So this week's episode is brought to you by Pentz Homes. Pentz Homes is a real estate team with Keller Williams. And Matt personally has experience working with Nate and Lydia when he sold and bought his home last fall. Nate has been a supporter of the local soccer community, including as an owner of this Minnesota women's soccer team. Matt also enjoyed working with one of their preferred lenders, Angie Shearer and Luminate Financing. If you guys have a house questions, selling, buying, or need a furnace or flooring person, shoot them a message at pentzhomes.com. So thank you to Nate. Next, I wanted to ask Jennie a little bit about your pro career. We mentioned you playing in Germany. Something else that caught my eye looking at you playing in the WPS, predecessor to NWSL, you were with some heavy hitters right out of college, some really, really heavy hitters, some Sky Blue, and you were on Tobin Heath, Heather O'Reilly, Allie Long. Those are ones I know from hearing an interview. Just talk about that going into the locker room and maybe just like the first thought you had walking in, you know, with them and how that transition was like as a player for you.
Yeah. Oh, buddy. Yeah, that was a really big transition for me. I think it wasn't so much, it was more of like, I just couldn't believe that I was there playing with such great players. But I mean, I think once you settle into anything, you kind of realize like everybody's, you know, working hard. We're all, you know, doing our best that's out there. So it wasn't like a where you're starstruck by any means, but I did learn a ton from them, and it was really fun to be able to work with them. I think that I've talked about, or I've mentioned that the transition from college to pro is completely different, and I think that that's what's so great about this team is being able to help bridge that gap between college and the professional setting. And hopefully that's kind of what we've talked about, is really wanting to have something professional that people, you know, realize what it is to be able to make that transition out. So, I mean, it was awesome. Like I said, I learned a lot when I was there. I also think that it would have been awesome to have a team like this to be able to help bridge that gap. Into that. So that's what's super exciting about being a part of this is hopefully helping with that process for a lot of players.
Well, in Tobin, I guess it's in retrospect for someone like Tobin Heath, because she wasn't some superstar at the time. But like, did she ever meg you? I mean, she just like she embarrasses people. I mean, that's her whole game. It's just. I
mean, she was very, very good at that time too. So it was like, yeah, it was. I think I had like the one training session. I think I like slide tackled Heather O'Reilly, and it was like, all right. Maybe I didn't do great while I was here, but I did do that in that training session. So that was pretty cool. But
see, that's the glory days. I knew there was one. I knew you had one.
Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, so but like I said, it was crazy because even on that team, there's people from all over the world that had played, you know, on their national team since they were like 16, 18 or something. So they just had a ton of experience, and I hadn't had any of that. So it was a really hard transition, and I learned a ton while I was doing it. So that was good.
Yeah. I know. I think Tobin had a gold medal by that time anyway from the Olympics.
Yeah.
She was beast, probably born a beast.
And also one of the like nicest people that I had met. So I think that every perception that there is of her, I think is, at least in my experience, was true. So
that's really good to hear. I know she's one of my favorites. Yeah. So question for Jen. You're the co-founder of Like a Girl, which is a nonprofit focused on empowering underrepresented and immigrant girls through the game of soccer. So tell us a little bit about your mission, how that fits into this club, how you see it reflected, and then whether that's just in player pathway and development and mentorship, or just in values.
Yeah. We actually spent a while earlier this year sort of like recrafting our mission statement, got a more diverse group of women in the room. And essentially the idea is that like soccer in the US for girls in particular is very pay to play. And there's a lot of girls of various backgrounds who play all the time, but and are quite good and don't need access to the game. They have their own access to the game, but in some way, the game needs access to them. So, college coaches don't go to the rec field or watch futsal at Rice Street Rec in St. Paul, but they do watch at college showcases where you have to pay thousands of dollars to go attend. So there's just a bit of there's like gatekeepers that keep certain people in and certain people out. And so the idea is, how can we make the game more equitable? How can we be anti-racist voices for like, how can we make the game more anti-racist and make it a place that like everybody feels welcome and included? Through the pandemic, we've really sort of taken a step back and tried to reanalyze, what is our niche and how can we be most effective? So we're still sort of figuring that out. But in terms of connection to this club, I think that's how I got involved in that first meeting, is just sort of common people in the community. And so I know that Matt and Andrea, for example, have been big supporters of Like a Girl in the past and are board members of this team. So I know there's common values there. And my hope is that there's community for this USL team, both in terms of like community owners, but also in terms of like connection to people in the community who maybe don't own the team, but who live nearby or who have access to various realms of soccer in the Twin Cities. And I want all people of all backgrounds to feel like this is a team that they can cheer for and recognize themselves in. And so I hope that's a part of the process for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Like a Girl is a really, really cool organization I learned about. And I know Equal Time is always eager to just boost up whatever work, they're doing, because it's cool to see. And part of, it's another, in related terms to this team, we know there's gaps in what women's soccer is possible, what's possible in women's soccer. And so that we have to invest. So I'm curious for each of you. So, we've kind of danced around your experience playing and getting through that pathway, but all of you, I think, are really, you've spoke about your familiarity with the position these young women are in terms of trying to grow. So I'm curious for you all, like in your summers between college, what your experiences were like playing for teams like this, and what, whether it was WPSL, UWS, the W League that existed before, and kind of on the positive side, like we said, what do you think, if there were any fallbacks to those experiences, like how is this team going to be better, or like how can you improve on what you experienced in your summer leagues? Jen, Larrick, you could start.
Sure. I went back to, I grew up in Massachusetts and went back to Massachusetts the first couple summers. I think one year I played like on a Breakers College Academy team, which was fun, but I'm not sure if that even came back the next year. So there wasn't always a lot of like stability. One year I just played for like an adult women's summer team and then did a bunch of my own extra fitness. And then, one summer I was recovering from my ACL. So there just wasn't a lot of stability and good options, good coaching, good, training or strength conditioning, access. And I think, especially given the conditioning packet you're given from your school, like that needs to be a top priority, but also you need to play. And so you need to find an environment that's really supportive of both. And I'm not sure I found that as a college player. And like, I would have to be like the driver of my own summer fitness packet, but it'd be nice if there was like a playing environment that supported you through that process too.
Yeah.
And I know Nicole talked about that for sure.
Yeah. Jen Clark, how about you?
I was lucky enough my freshman into sophomore year and sophomore into junior year, I played on the Minnesota Lightning, and it was actually a really great experience for me. I think the one thing, experience again, I got to play with some of the best players from Minnesota. A lot of them came back. Caitlin Durkee was at Georgetown. Rosie Malone-Pavoni was at Marquette. Like these kinds of players who I I wouldn't have known otherwise, because again, I'm from Iowa and I came up and got to know them really well. And again, and they're really great players. I still play with a couple of them, like in adult leagues now. So that kind of stuff that was really awesome for me. And a lot of older players that had graduated already and then continued playing. Caroline Smith is one of the best goal scorers that I've ever known, and she played on that team. If there's any former Lightning fans out there.
Do they do a crack? Like, what do they do? Yeah, crack the Lightning.
I don't know. I think it's great. So they were associated with Thunder, but on that team, again, you had to pay to be able to be on it. And I think that there wasn't a ton of publicity around it. And I think that that's one of the barriers with women's soccer is the amount of publicity in it and the amount of advertising. Like, I think a lot of people want to like women's soccer, but they maybe don't know, where to find it or who to be cheering for and that kind of thing. And I think that that's what's great what goes on with Equal Time is being able to have that option there. And then another summer I went and played in a WPSL team in northern New York called Quick Strike, which was another really good experience. Got to know a lot of people actually that also went abroad to play on similar teams that I played on. So it was kind of a cool way to do that. So I was lucky enough to be on those teams, but I think that the cool thing about this team in particular will be, all the benefits around it, which is, media coverage, the professional setting, all these kinds of things. I think a staff that understands where these players are coming from is going to be really great.
Nicole, what were your experiences like in the break for the Panthers?
Yeah, pretty similar, to be honest, to what Jen and Jennie said. I played for two different groups. I think one was UWS and the other was WPSL. The first one, just really expensive. And
do you remember how much? Do you remember how much it cost?
I'm not going to throw it out there, but it was expensive. And I had a job in the summer too, so it was really not flexible to somebody with a work schedule either. So that was difficult. So the next year I joined, I'll give the Croatian Eagles a shout out in Milwaukee. They had a super cool soccer culture. They had a clubhouse. They had a men's team. They had these old Croatian guys that would like hang out and drink Schlivo in between the games and come out and cheer you on. But, just it was more definitely low key, which was good for me because I was working and that they were better about like, if I had to miss a practice over there, I didn't have to sit out a game. But with the other group, like if I missed a practice and I had to sit out a game and then I was paying all this money, it was just, a frustrating situation. So hopefully, with our goals, like Jen and Jennie said, we know what's out there and we're trying to, make these situations better, make things more feasible, make schedules more flexible, help players get jobs that make sense for their career path after soccer and all of those things.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, and it's exciting because we know when you treat things professionally, like it can look professional. So, I mean, it like just to go to like the stream looking professional makes it look like it's a professional game because you're seeing it at a standard, So, yeah, when you, we talk to players who like get to play, like people who play at Drake. I interviewed a player because they have a stadium that seats 10,000. I said, does that make you kind of feel more like a pro and like expectations on yourself? And they're like, yeah, it's a lot of pressure to like, live up to it. I'm curious for you all as a dynamic because you have a lot of roles you play too, in addition to everything you're doing with licenses and everything else with youth soccer. So I'm curious if you've had any chance to talk together about what your roles will be in terms of the coaching staff or like how you're going to balance all the work to building the team coming into the summer.
That's a great question, Mark. So we're still in the middle, to be honest, of hashing it all out. But, I think we laid down a good solid foundation with who's going to do what. I think Jennie's going to focus more on travel aspects, whereas Jen's going to focus more on player services things. And then my goal is to have my hands in everything. One thing Jen talked about before was strength and conditioning and athletic training. We're definitely trying to hit the ground running with that, because we all have been in those frustrating situations of, my college is telling me to do this, but now my summer club is telling me to do this. So that's definitely a priority of forming a good relationship with our partner TCO to get that right, and make sure that the players are healthy throughout the summer and taking care of their bodies and things like that. So short answer, we don't have it perfectly figured out yet, but we're definitely getting there, and I have good faith that we'll find the right mix for each of us.
I know I keep talking about Cal Storm, but I absolutely love working for them. We, been around for about like 25 years now, and our coach has been with the team for a while in different capacities, has built a really strong relationship with colleges, locally, Sacramento State, UC Davis, but then we have a lot of Stanford, Berkeley, UCLA players, and over the years she's built a reputation and a friendship with some of their programs, so that when their players come play for us in the summer, we can kind of work on the program that their coaches want us to, kind of make it a symbiotic relationship. So it's cool that that's already something you're discussing and is important. But where was my train of thought? I had a question there somewhere.
With that being said, like, do you have an idea what kind of players you want to look for on your roster, or how you're going to go about, like recruiting?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. I'm very attacking minded, so we're looking for attacking minded players, technical players. Feeling very fortunate to have Jen and Jennie here with their Gopher roots. They know a lot of players that have come through the program in the past and recently and currently. So we'll be looking at them for sure. And then, we have St. Thomas, who's now a Division I program, getting them involved. I have decent connections through Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, throughout the Midwest. And then one of my current roles is I'm the assistant director of the Rush Select program. Rush Soccer is the largest youth soccer organization in the world. And so I've been fortunate to make connections all across the country that hopefully will come into play with creating the team.
We're going to see a lot of young players, obviously, like college players who are looking to, like, maybe they're going to step up and become professional later, but we need mentors too. And I know like about three former players that have experience, and like, I know that they enjoy playing the game. I'm wondering which of you will be the first to hop in as a player coach when needed. And also the team's going to hold tryouts. So, it can be an equitable thing. You just go to tryouts and see if you match up.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hosting tryouts in early 2022 for sure. So we would love to see anybody and everybody at those tryouts. But I will not. I may participate in a train session, but it'll be very stationary.
She's leaving it open. She's leaving the door open.
I think we should run a 3v3 tournament, and if anyone can beat us, they get kudos for the day. But
Small-sided, I'm in. I'm out.
Yeah, because you know what the coaches will do? The coaches, if they come up with the game, they'll change the rules if they're losing at the end. Probably be like, no, it's another point. It's another goal.
I don't know.
I think, you have a lot of craftiness. Yeah, you'd have a lot of advantage. But no, and it is exciting. And it is, that's just something I think I've heard. I forget it even told me, but you will look to probably have an open tryout of some kind, or tryout, I should say, at some kind, right? Coming up in the winter season.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely want to hope to catch some players who might be back in town on the college break for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll definitely publicize that. That'll be exciting. We'll see. Yeah. We'll go watch.
Maybe you can report live from tryouts.
I will for sure. Yeah.
I won't be live, but I'll be there in spirit. It sounds like, or it already feels like you guys you're already mending, or you're meshing really well. You guys have obviously known each other for a while. You've been meeting. You have a great rapport. How important is team culture? What are some ideas you have to kind of build that team culture once you finally get your roster together? you get everyone together. What are your plans for that?
Sure. I envision that as we start signing players, we'll start meeting with them individually, talking about team culture and what we want to build. We have a really unique opportunity to build it the way we want. And of course, Jennie and I can do that, but we want player input as well. So as soon as we start signing players, we're going to start having those discussions. At first it's, us and a player, then it's us and 3 players. And we're going to continue to build that relationship virtually so that by the time we get to May and we're ready to roll the ball, we all already are on the same page and we feel like, we can focus more on field things because we've already been meeting and having these discussions about what it means to play for this team and how we want to represent ourselves. Jen and Jennie, what do you think? Add something there.
Yeah, I think obviously the meeting part, I think having, like you said, having that collaboration between the 3 of us. And I think that on a lot of teams that probably all of us have been a part of, the most important thing is from kind of the top down a little bit, is making sure that we work well together. We have respect for each other. And I mean, obviously we all do. And just making sure that that's also an example to a lot of females that can be done. Having an all-female staff and being able to work together and support each other and, be the best that we can be in that. So that's really important to me, being a part of the staff as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. The culture starts with us, and I've already really enjoyed talking and working with Jennie and Nicole. And I guess another thing I'm reflecting on as we've all sort of used the term professional environment is just that the NWSL wasn't necessarily the most professional environment for a lot of the teams this past season. And I think everything I know about this club tells me that the players will be treated well. And culture is a big part of making it a professional experience. So that feels really important given the current context of just women's soccer in the US right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you bringing that up, Jen. And it is, I wanted to close it by asking you about just the uniqueness of the team. And I mean, and by the way, this is not just unique, for a women's club. It's unique for a soccer club to raise $1 million like this. There's a couple of men's teams that have done this well. And I know they were supportive. Detroit and Chattanooga were supportive in talking to our club. But for anyone, it doesn't matter. It's a women's team. This is a big deal to see $1 million go into a team. And not from, some rich person just choosing. There's people donating, the average is like a few hundred, I think. So there's so much grassroots support. The feeling is that people were probably just desperate to support the women's game, and we're giving them the avenue. So I'm just curious, when you brought up being an all women staff, which I know is really important, and it excites supporters of the team. I think it excites me. And I'm curious what it means to you, kind of in the context. You kind of touched on it, but I just, if you have anything else to say what it means to be leading this special project as a group of women.
I can speak really quickly on that, I guess. So like I said, the U of M was a really good academic fit for me, and the Tucker Center for Girls and Women in Sport is there. And so I sort of grew up in college having this love for female coaches, and every year there's a women coaches symposium, and I went to the first one ever, and it was 30 people, and then they grew and grew and grew, and eventually it was 300 people. And there's just something really cool, coming up as a college kid, knowing I wanted to get into coaching and having this sort of background, voice in my ear about women coaches matter and are important. And so I think that is really foundationally important to me. But I think also the more that I've learned and grown, it's not just important to me that we're women. It's important to me that we operate in feminist ways. So I think everything that I have had interaction with Jennie and Nicole so far has been like that. And so I think, a supportive coaching staff of all women who operates in feminist ways feels really just sort of refreshing and transformational in my own career and experience. And I think can be, like Jennie mentioned, a good example for the players.
Yeah, I can add to that. I'm just excited, to be honest. I have only had one female coach in my playing career, and it is few and far between to see female coaches, let alone work with them. I've never worked with the all-female staff before, and the founding board has a lot of powerful women on it as well. So I'm just super excited. It's different, different in a good way, and yeah, I'm excited. And that's not a cut on guys, because
It's fine, trust me.
I'm in the seat though, because I've had a lot of really good male mentors as well. So I don't want to downplay them at all, but it's good to have a different experience like this, and I'm definitely looking forward to spending more time with Jennie and Jen and making this first year special.
One more thing on that, I just want to give a shout out to Taylor Greathouse at BV United. BVU does all female coaches for the girls' side, and Taylor Greathouse is the girls' director of coaching, and they're always looking for more female coaches. So if anyone in the area is listening and they want to be a coach, hit up Taylor Greathouse. She's amazing. Can't say enough good things about Taylor Greathouse.
It's awesome. Yeah. And that's part of your work too, Jen. Yeah. And it does matter. It matters that you see people represented, like it's people I think are respecting that more and more. And also it matters to, like, I'm a straight white man. It matters to me too. It's not like, it's like, just because I need to see someone who looks like me, it's a deeper value than that. So I appreciate you all speaking to that. We're really excited we get to cover the team. I know Liz and I are thrilled. Liz is going to be a part of some expanded W League coverage over at the Protagonist. So we're excited to see just the coverage of this league and, that pre-professional environment. Liz and I are going to do our best to be the media training for the players. We got to bolster our chops to be ready to help. But we're really excited to do shows as we have some more things going on. I will be there. If we have tryouts, I will try and be there in person. That'll be fun. And I think we're going to see the brand announce sometime in January, which is so exciting. All the designs are great. I do want to ask, I forgot this. I want to ask if any of you snuck in votes or have a favorite of what you want, which one you prefer. They're all great. I don't think you could lose by saying. No one's listening. Just be honest.
I don't know if I had. I really liked. I like the Aurora one. I think that one looks pretty awesome. But honestly, the people behind making everything are so talented. It's so fun to see all the things that they've come up with, and there's like not a wrong answer, I feel like, for what they have. So, anyone?
I've been saying that all my friends who are community owners have been trying to start calling them my boss. So I'm really just happy with whatever the bosses pick. Thrilled with it.
Love that. Yeah, I had somebody the other day that was like, "Yeah, I own you," because they were one of the owners.
Nice.
Like,
they're
awesome.
Taking the negative side of community
I know,
ownership.
it was so funny. I was playing soccer with him yesterday, and he was just so excited because he didn't know that I was a part of this, and he's like, "Oh, I'm one of the owners. I own you, actually."
3,080
all of them
owners. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. We're looking forward to covering this team. And thank you to everyone who's a supporter to Equal Time Soccer. People who support Equal Time on Patreon, it's as little as $2 a month. It's the reason you've seen more and more coverage covering D2 soccer, covering Minnesotans in D1, and now adding Liz in to cover. I'll just remind you guys, when we do college interviews, we pay the players because we have support from the community. So, it's because of your support that we're able to do cool coverage like this and get to do this interview this is an exclusive first one with the coaching staff. So we really appreciate your time. And Liz, I appreciate you joining me to co-host on the show. Thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks for having us.